certainly doable. Yeah, it was. Be- because it was a family service, and I wanted to find a service that that your grandparents would find meaningful.
Hello, hello, hello. What was that? It's got the outfit, okay. What? Not yet, not till he's, only when he speaks. If not, I'll sit up there. Only when he speaks. Good evening and Shabbat Shalom. We begin our service this evening on page 347. Al Hadvash v'al ha'oketz, both the honey and the sting. Steve, can I get this a little louder? Okay, we're going to get this mic louder. Hello, is that better?
No, it's her wireless.
I'm using my head mic. Hello?
Whoa.
There we go. Okay. Page 347. Al hadvash ve'al ha'oketz, both the honey and the sting. Al hamar v'hamatok, for the sweet and the bitter. God, protect us from everything.
על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על ביתנו התינוקת שמור אלי הטוב, על האש המבוערת, על המים הזכים, על האיש השב הביתה מן המרחקים, על כל אלה, שמונה לי אלי הטוב, על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על נטע קור נטוע, אל תשכח את התקווה, השיבני והשובה אל הארץ הטובה.
Please join with me.
שמור אלי הזה הבית, על הגן, על החומה, מיגון, מפחד פתע וממלחמה. שמור על המעט שיש לי, על האור ועל הטב, על הפרי שלא הבשירות ושנאסף, על כל אלה, שמונה לי אלי הטוב, על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על נטע קור נטוע, אל תשכח את התקווה, השיבני והשובה אל הארץ הטובה. מרשרש אילן ברוח, מרחוק נושר כוכב, משאלות ליבי בחושך נרשמות עכשיו. אנא שמור לי על כל אלה, ועל אהובי נפשי, על השקט, על הבכי ועל זה השיר, על כל אלה, על כל אלה, שמונה לי הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המה והמתוק, על נטע קור נטוע, אל תשכח את התקווה. השיבני והשובה אל הארץ הטובה.
She's using the wireless.
It was loud?
His fault.
Okay. We have made it to Shabbat, that time of the week, a chance to catch our breath, to reflect on the past week, to ask God to give us thanks, to give thanks to God for the blessings in our lives, and to ask God to give us strength for the challenges we face. So as you prepare for Shabbat worship, I invite you to take a nice deep breath in, inhaling the second soul of Shabbat. Exhale all our troubles and problems, ask them to wait till Shabbat's over, and take a moment to reflect on the week. We continue welcoming Shabbat by lighting the Shabbat candles. We continue on page 3. I invite you to join with me together on the top of the page. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As the brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. On the bottom of page 9, we offer thanks, O God, for the Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. We continue with L'chad Dodi, page 20, as we welcome the Sabbath bride.
L'chad Dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבילה, לך תודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבילה. לך תודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבילה. לך תודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבילה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבילה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם ניסוחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבילה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומאורי, אורי, אורי, שדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבילה. אוהי ושלום עטרת פלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבילה.
Bottom of page 25. And so we understand that ordinary people are messengers of the Most High. They go about their task in holy anonymity, often and even unknown to themselves. Yet if they had not been there, if they had not said what they said, or did what they did, it would not be the way it is now. It would not be the way we are now. Never forget that you too yourself may be a messenger, perhaps even one whose errand extends over several lifetimes.
ויתקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
ועלמד יברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה, בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם עולם מעלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמד קודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ואמרו Amen.
We rise to the Baruch Hu and remain standing for the Shema.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. שמע ישראל, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
Page 36. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם באמת.
Page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא. O se fele, Bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, osefele, nora tehilot, osefele, osefele. Malchutecha ra'uvanecha, mokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, zeli anu ve'amiru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, osefele, nora tehilot, osefele, ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גא ישראל.
Shabbat is so important to us as a people. Ahad Ha'am reminds us, more than the Jewish people has kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept the Jewish people. V'shamru, page 44.
V'shamiru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
We continue on page 46 and we rise for tefillah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד אתה, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. We continue with our prayer of thanksgiving. Before we do our communal prayer, Modima Nachnu, we are grateful. I always like to invite you to take a moment to reflect on your own lives. Even when there are challenges in our lives, it's so important to try to find something that we are grateful for. So I ask you to take a moment to reflect on something that you are grateful for, that you would like to offer thanks to God. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul or light within, for the world around us filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hato shimcha, u'lechana'eh lahodot. We continue with our prayer for peace, page 60.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום.
We take a moment to think of loved ones and friends who are in need of healing, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Mishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Becca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. Are there any names you'd like to offer for our healing prayer this evening?
My brother-in-law and my book. Where's his brother?
Susan Donowitz.
מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב שרה רבקה רחל ולאה הוא יברך וירפא את החולים. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב שרה רבקה רחל ולאה הוא יברך וירפא את החולים.
Take a moment for silent prayer, a chance for our own personal thoughts and meditations. few months ago, I got an email forwarded to me from Beth Ann. It was from an Israeli who said he lived in kibbutz Givat, near Or, which was near the Gaza border, and he wanted to share his story with us. And I knew I had to find a way to bring him here. It is so important that we continue to hear these stories, as hard as they are, because we need to know the facts, because there are always people trying to deny the facts of what really happened. And so we worked it out so he could be here with us. And I encourage you to continue to hear other stories. Like I said, as hard as it is, we need to know the facts. We need to explain to people who try to change the story so that they know what the real story is. And we will hear it firsthand from Barak Marab. The Torah portion this week is Bamidbar. We start the book of Numbers, and it's all about counting. And the sages asked, why do you have to count everybody? And it's a boring portion. You read name after name, and it goes on in every tribe and where they settled. Because God says counting everybody means God says that everybody counts. And everybody counts. And so we need to hear the story of some people remembering they still count. And so many people who were killed, were attacked, were harmed on October 7th. They all count, and we can't forget them. And so we're here to hear one of those stories from firsthand from Barak. So I invite him to come join us. And give us a minute so we can get the TV set up, because he has some slides to show you.
Thank you. Can you hear me? And can I speak like that, or I have to be close to that?
It's not a great
It's
microphone.
okay like
Do you want to
that?
use my headphone?
If because it's too far.
Okay, there we
No,
go.
can you hear me speaking like that, or?
All right. That's it. Oh, you want the volume up here too? Yeah, let me get the volume up.
We just have to be close to that. So.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I only want people to hear me, so I can stand here. Now, can you hear me? Yeah, it's okay. Okay. No, the only thing is my size. Okay, now can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So good evening and Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, everyone, for having me here. I am. You can't hear me? And not well. So I'll try bending over for that a bit. Sorry. I'm very excited. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Today is, let's say, the grand finale of 3 weeks in which I've been speaking to 19 different communities. So it's basically every evening, and I'm very glad for the opportunity to do that here too with you. And I will be sharing with you my family's story of October 7th. And before I begin, I want you to know two things. First, I am here standing, speaking, sharing my story, but as was very clearly mentioned by the rabbi, there are thousands of families with stories such as mine, same but different. And it's important that we know that there are so many people in such situations. And the second thing is that I am not here to talk only about what happened that day and about the testimony itself. I'm also here to share our journey ever since, and how the help of so many good people from all over the world, obviously mainly the Jewish people of the United States, were a big part of my ability to be here and stand, and to my family to try the best to move back to I'm always getting stuck in this part. I don't have the words, but to try and get back to life as much as we can, although and in the shadow of what happened. So as you can see, this is my family, my wife, my kids. My wife Zip, I grew up in the city in Beersheba. I think I can take it. Oh, that would be better. Okay. So I grew up in the city in Beersheba, but my wife Ziv grew up in a small kibbutz near the border with the Gaza Strip called Nir Oz. This kibbutz was founded in 1955 as a small kibbutz near the border, a small village in the middle of the desert, where her family chose to live since 1969. Her parents moved there as young soldiers in the age of 20, 21, and stayed, raising 5 children. My wife is the youngest of the 5. And over the years, with a lot of work, a lot of investment, this kibbutz, if any of you got to visit, I know some did, became a very beautiful green oasis in the middle of the desert. And the life we used to have in this kibbutz, I didn't say we moved there in 2015. Just before we became parents, we decided to move and live our life there. And the life we had was life of a community, which means doing a lot of things together, spending time with friends, holidays, weekends, birthdays, a lot of nice things together. And I can try to describe this forever, but I won't be able with my words. So I do want to show you a short video. It takes 19 seconds that will describe the way we used to live. But the special thing about this video is that it was made after October 7th. Wow, my back is thankful. Can you hear me now? Yeah, okay. So what I was saying is that this video was made after October 7th to tell our story, but it is made almost entirely from videos taken by families before October 7th. And it describes the story, the way we lived, and after the video I will continue with what had happened.
Is the story of a home that was ours and stands no more, and of the home we are trying to build so we can begin living again. We are survivors of the October 7th massacre in Kibbutz Nir Oz. In every human culture, people find and define their place in the world through the place they were born and raised. Their hometown. Their home. A place to feel and be safe and protected from harm. A kibbutz is also a home. In this home, the front and backyards of private homes become shared community spaces. In this home, we barely distinguish between what's yours and what's mine. In the kibbutz, community is a synonym for family. You raise children and care for the elderly together. In the kibbutz, that sense of belonging, security, and togetherness creates a we that is whole, a we that is larger and more powerful than I. Home is more than a place or piece of land. It is people, and it is community.
So, as I said, I do believe it describes the way we used to live. Of course, it's not always as beautiful and shiny as it seems from that video. You know, it's an amazing place for children. It's a great place for the older people. In between, it might be negotiable, but it was a great place to raise our children at. And of course, it changed dramatically in the date and time that we all know, as our kibbutz was attacked. Our kibbutz is not the only kibbutz who has been attacked. Of course, many communities, many places have been attacked. But there is one big difference between the story of Nir Oz to the story of other places. And the difference is that along the day of October 7, from the beginning of the event in 6:30 in the morning until the first soldier or police officer arrived into Kibbutz Nir Oz in order to protect us, it took 7 hours. The first forces to arrived at 1:30 p.m., which we didn't know then. We know now is more than 30 minutes after the terrorists already left the kibbutz, meaning there basically was no protection besides our first response team. This group of 10 men who left homes, left families, took the rifles, went out to fight. They were supposed to hold for 15 minutes until backup arrives. They held for more than 2 hours until they could no longer. And from that moment until the terrorists left, The only difference between people like me standing here and talking to people who will never be able is if they could break into their shelters or not. And some information, the rest will be no information at all about what happened, is you can see on the screen. We've been attacked by 300 to 500 armed terrorists, 500 to 700 looters who followed. This lack of defense and enormous number of attackers allowed the terrorists to penetrate into 217 out of 223 houses in the kibbutz, burn more than 100, and leave 80% of the houses uninhabitable after the day, meaning destroying the entire kibbutz. And out of a population of 400 people, roughly, 117 were either killed or kidnapped, which is just a little more than a quarter of the population. As you can see on the map I attached, they've been everywhere. There is no place they did not get to, there is no place they missed. It's basically everywhere. And this freedom of movement to do whatever they wanted could allow them to get to places they had nothing to look for, such as the dining room that you can see on the pictures, that they shoot the doors in order to get in and burnt the kitchen. And also destroying, vandalizing, burning educational facilities such as this kindergarten in the pictures. One interesting story about the pictures you see, the middle top picture showing a blue bench was taken by me in the kindergarten, and somehow that bench survived the fire. And this bench says in Hebrew, it's better being together, the Gan Tut, the name of the kindergarten, Frenchy bench. And I don't know if any of you are aware of this concept of Frenchy bench now. You know, yeah. So the concept is that this bench is a place for the kids to get help. It means if a kid feels alone, he doesn't find someone to play with, he can go sit there. The rest of the kids know that if someone sits there, he's looking for company, and they can invite him to play. And that bench somehow survived, and he moved with us to the kindergarten where we live today. The kids can still enjoy it, and I think it's a lovely miracle. And as I said, that they were burning more than 100 houses. This is our kibbutz looked like from another kibbutz nearby during October 7th, sometime in the middle of the day. I think it was around 12. In my home, with my family, wife and kids, like every other family, like every other house, basically in Israel, but of course in our region, there was a small bomb shelter, rocket-proof room, you name it, the safe room. And like every other one in our community, or almost everyone, we use this room as the kids' bedroom because we only had 12 to 15 seconds to react when there is an alarm. So obviously you want the kids to be sleeping there. You cannot move them from one room to another in that time. And what I'm going to say will show you how much we normalize situations that shouldn't be normalized in anyone's life. And whenever we had an alarm in the middle of the night, we used to do one thing, and that going quietly to the kids' bedroom, closing the doors behind us, and we were only hoping for one thing, and that is that the kids will not wake up, so we can go back to bed. And on Saturday morning, October 7th, 6:29 a.m., when we ran to the shelter for the first time, that's the only thing we hoped, that the kids will not wake up and we can go back to bed. Sadly or jokingly, I can say that that's the only thing working by the plan that morning. Very quickly we understood we are not going anywhere, because in the first 10 minutes there were 7, 8, 9 alarms, one after another, and we understood it's going to be something bigger. And we started planning for our usual plan B. The plan B, when we understand we are going to a few days of escalation, is that one of us will quickly bring the car, the other one will pack some stuff, and we are going southwards, Mitzpe Ramon, Sde Boker, to the Dead Sea, going to be with friends away, and come back when it relaxed, when it's back to normal. And we used to say that we live in a place that is 350 days of paradise and 2 weeks of unplanned vacations. And yeah, normalizing, no? And that's what we thought we were going to do. But luckily for me, I did not go to bring the car, because it was not even 7 in the morning when one of our friends sent a voice message saying that the terrorists, you see the terrorists in the kibbutz, they are wearing uniforms that are similar to the IDF, and carrying weapons, and he said, lock yourselves inside. Now, locking yourselves inside is a very nice idea, but we learned that day that there are downsides to the shelters. We know that they will protect us from rockets, and as you can see me standing here, they will also protect you from fire. if the door is closed. But we learned that the doors are not bulletproof, as many of our friends were wounded or killed because of shots through these doors. And the worst things we learned was that you cannot lock these doors. You can lock the handle from the inside, but anyone coming from the outside can open it. It was made like that by design to allow rescue teams to come in. But we know who were the first to get to these doors. And we had to somehow lock ourselves inside. But we were very lucky. We were lucky because my wife is smart enough to get this bolt lock to the inside of our shelter. She did it something like 8 years ago, and those bolts were designed, produced, and installed by a friend of us, a welder who lives next to us, who wanted to find a solution to the main problem he understood, or the main threat he understood lies for his kids. And this bolt's price was 100 shekels. He offered it to anyone who wanted, and 9 families got these bolts, 9 families survived, and a few more families in surrounded communities survived due to these bolts. And for the first time ever, we locked it and just sat there and waited to see what is going on. And the time passed by, the morning moves, information comes, and we understand that something is happening that we didn't even imagine. And our kids woke up at around 8:30. They wake up in complete darkness because the door is closed, the window is closed, we have no electricity. And their first question is, what are you doing in our room? And we told them that it's a little noisy, and soon the IDF will arrive and we will leave. And of course, they have no food, they have no water, they have no toilets. They had to use one of their toy boxes for as toilet that morning, and they wait with us. And as the time passes, we understand that the things are getting closer and closer to us because the noises we hear from the outside are getting louder. We hear trucks, we hear motorcycles, we hear people running, we hear very loud Arabic music that is played around us, and friends living close to us saying that they are in their homes. So we understand that it's going to happen soon and we have to do something. And we looked at each other in the eyes and looked at the door, and as if we understood that this thing is going to save us, we decided to leave the door, not hold it, and give attention to the kids. So we split into groups. My wife took my daughter. My daughter was 7.5 back then. They climbed up to her top bunk bed, covered under the blankets, and I learned later that they were having a conversation. My wife, as a professional social worker, specialized working with kids, explained to her what to do, what to say, what not to say when they get to us, giving her instructions. And I took my son, he was less than 4. I got him on his bed, I laid on top of him, thinking that they shoot at the doors, so I want them to shoot me and not him. And of course, as men, we did not speak, we just waited, but I don't have much memories from these minutes, but I do remember his big blue eyes staring in my eyes from a very short distance. My nose was dripping sweat on his face, and I could see that he understands the situation. He's not asking for anything, not food, not water, no toilet, just waiting quietly to see what is going on. And we stayed like that for quite a while, until 10 and 2 minutes. I looked at my watch exactly, so I know the time, when we heard people run inside the house, yelling in Arabic, something that means there are people inside. Immediately we heard the door handle going down. They pulled the door back, but it didn't open. We have no idea how long it's going to hold, but it holds. Immediately they started pulling the door back, up, down, left, right, trying to tear it from its place, banging on it very aggressively and kicking it, and calling us from behind the door in English. Open the door. If you come out, we will not kill you. If you stay inside, we'll blow up the house, trying to convince us to come out. And in the background, you could hear that the house is being destroyed. Things break, doors opening, closing. They were looking for money, for jewelry, for everything they could take. And every few seconds, someone is banging the door and calling us to come out. And it lasted for 30 minutes, until 10:30. During this time, we were completely quiet, as I said, not reacting to the questions, not speaking between us. The only communication between us, somewhere in the middle, was for a few seconds, very quietly. We said goodbye to each other, and we apologized to the kids that we could not protect them. And at 10:30, they left us, and it's completely quiet. And I feel super brave. I leave the bed, and I told my wife, okay, I'll go to the kitchen, I'll bring some knives, so we have protection if they come back. And she used a very bad language, which we usually don't use in front of the kids, to tell me to stay where I am, not to go anywhere. And luckily I was listening, because it wasn't even 2 minutes and they are back in the house, again trying to break in. this time only for a couple of minutes, and then we heard them spilling liquids. I guess it was gasoline, and immediately you could hear the flames from behind the door, and within seconds the smoke starts to penetrate, and at around 10:40 or 10:45, the battle we were having changed from how we avoid them to come in to how we survive in a sealed room with the smoke penetrating. Very quickly we learned that the first thing to do is get everyone to the floor. So we got the kids to the floor, covered their faces, and start thinking what to do. And on this stage I did something that shows you how innocent I was and I'm not understanding the situation. So I took my phone and I called the fire department because I have a fire in my living room. And the fire department also did not understand the situation, and they did what they do, which is sending a text message with a link. In that link, through that link, I'm supposed to share my location, and they will send a truck to that location. Of course, there is no GPS reception. You can hardly send any message. So we try forwarding the message to friends. Elsewhere, please you try to find my location, whatever, and I keep calling them back and forward. And one of my last calls to the fire department around, let's say 11:30, something like that, I told them, listen guys, you remember the picture from before. Everyone's saying the house is on fire, my house specific, my location doesn't matter. Send a jet, spill water on this kibbutz, and let's move on. And my last call to the fire department, something like an hour into the fire, was replied by a woman who was crying. I can hear in her voice she's crying, and she told me, I'm sorry, we can't make it, you'll have to find a way. And again, we understand we are alone and we have to do something. And it's almost 12, it's more than an hour into the fire. And during this time since the fire began, something happened that made us understand we have to do something. The kids on the floor kept falling asleep. And every time they fell asleep, we were sure that they are losing their conscience, so we wake them up. And every time they wake up, we wake them up. They are very mad at us because they just want to sleep. They don't want to be there. And every time they are waking up, they are throwing up. They are throwing up black vomit, because this is the body's way to get rid of the smoke, but we don't know it. And we are sure that we are losing the kids and we have to do something. And we stepped aside, we had a little talk, and we understood that we have two options. The first is to stay as we are. It will take as long as it takes, but we are going to die. And the second option is to gamble, change the odds to 50-50. Let's open the window a little bit, get some oxygen inside. Maybe they'll come and see us, maybe they won't. And at 12:15, I opened a very small crack in the window. This picture that you see was taken by me on real time to share with my friends that I opened the window. I ended up opening a little more than that, something like 2 inches. We understood that's the maximum we can do without them being able to stick a rifle, throw a grenade, and to get some oxygen inside. And I was standing and listening because you cannot see nothing. You can only listen with your ears outside if something happens. And I was leaning against the wall. As you can see on the second picture, you can see my fingerprints. I was covered in ashes, and this is my fingerprints from leaning against that window. And I did it for a very long time, for something like 1.5 hours, until 15 minutes before 2. At 15 minutes before 2, while the situation in the room continues the same, with the sleeping and the waking up and the throwing up, I heard people walking outside that window. And I panicked, I slammed that window, and it makes a very big noise when you slam it. And immediately I heard from the other side people yelling in Hebrew. But 3 things happened in my mind. First, I heard Hebrew. The second was they were saying that someone is shooting in them. They thought the sound of the window was gunfire. And immediately but they used a term that they teach you in the IDF to say that someone is shooting at you. And the third thing was another voice saying, it's not fire, it's a window, and I recognize the person speaking. I know that voice. It's someone from the kibbutz. Of course, I have no guts to open the window and see. I can only yell outside, so I'm yelling that we are here, we need help, we are alive. And they call me from the other side to open the window with my hands outside so they can see me, because they have no idea who is calling them. They have no idea if we are being held hostage. So I'm opening and of course they don't know that the terrorists already left something like 45 minutes before, and there is no one in the kibbutz. So I'm opening that window slowly with my hands up. In front of me, 15 soldiers and that guy. Everyone is aiming their weapons at me. And I'm blinded because I have laser beams in my eyes. And this guy is yelling, don't shoot, it's Barak. And lucky no one was shaking, so I'm here. And they see us, they run towards the window, they see me, they run towards the window, they see all 4 of us inside, and they tell us the worst thing they can say, close the window and wait. I understand why they said it, because, again, they have no idea that there are no terrorists in the kibbutz. They just arrived. They don't know if someone is waiting in the bushes. And they ran away, and we are alone again. And we decided after they left that if they've been there, no one was fighting them, so let's open the window a little more, get some oxygen inside. And we ended up opening something like, I don't know, 8 inches, let's say, which is a lot more. And I think looking backward, that this is what actually saved us, that much more oxygen could come in through that bigger crack in the window. And we had to wait like that for another hour until another group of soldiers arrived, this time to take us out at 3 p.m. And they called us out. We climbed out. We've been outside the house for 2 minutes, who felt probably like forever, for 2 reasons. One, my daughter Gaia, she couldn't stand on her legs. She was dehydrated, she was exhausted. They had to give her some sugared water so she can stand up. And while we were taking care of her, my son disappeared. And he disappeared for truly 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and you can imagine how it felt. And we found him a few meters behind us, 15, 20 meters behind us, playing with a friend, with the toys of his friend, Ariel Bibas, who lives right behind us. They grew up together, they're kids the same age, then that's what boys do, go to play with the toys. And we had to pick the kids up and run to a public shelter that they ordered us to go to. When I started running away with my boy in my hands, I looked back, I saw the house. So I yelled at my wife, "Your hands are free, take a picture of the house." So we have that one picture of the house that we came out of. And we came from the window in the middle, and on your left-hand side, you can still see the flames above the roof and the smoke. And we ran away from there to the shelter. In the shelter, the kids been treated by an IDF doctor. You can see the situation I was in. Dead man, I don't know if you can say, even walking. And we had to spend the night there with all the survivors. And in that shelter, I only understood how many people are missing. Only there I realized that people that were asking for help since the morning were not found by the soldiers looking for them later. And we've been there, we spent the night there, as I said. And the day after, before leaving, we were thinking we could get stuff from the house. That's what we have found in the front, as the front of the house. And in the inside, that was the situation. From your right to left, you will see the dining area, the kitchen, the living room, and the shelter, as I said, that survived the fire because the door remained closed. And to end this part with something that can make people smile, when trying to find things in a storage, this is how I found it, completely looted. And afterwards, talking to friends, we realized that there is one thing they took almost from every family storage. And so far, in 19 talks, no one could say what that thing was. So the thing missing to any family, from any family storage, was suitcases. And I guess it was much easier to carry stuff back to Gaza in suitcases than in their hands. And these are the 9 hours that we had to go through, and a little more to survive the day. And of course, as I said, before going to the more positive part, I do want 2 minutes of your time to speak about my family, my wife's family, my bigger family. As I said, they lived there since 1969. My parents-in-law, Bracha and David, raising 5 children. They have 9 grandkids. And in their home, during October 7, we knew the 2 people present, my father-in-law, David, and my brother-in-law, Tal, who came to visit. My mother-in-law, Bracha, was traveling abroad, luckily for us. And we could not communicate with them all day long. We tried every possible way, but nothing was replied. The rest of the siblings living elsewhere also tried, but nothing was replied. And when we arrived to the shelter, we were trying to ask people who've been there, who passed by, if someone knows anything. We only have been told that the house is on fire and there is no one in the house. That's all the information we have. And in the day after, the IDF informed us that both David and Tal, my father and brother-in-law, are hostages in Gaza, and they are considered to be missing hostage. Of course, every hostage is a missing person, but they were considered missing, meaning no one saw them being taken. They are not in any video, they are not in any image, but both cell phones are signaling from the Gaza Strip. And while trying to understand what is going on with our life, we also need to try and do whatever we can to bring my kids, grandpa and uncle back from the captivity. And we became part of the hostage families, and we've been part of it for a month until November 6, when the IDF informed us that in a project done by the Israeli Antiquity Authority in Kibbutz Nir Oz, the archaeologists who were working that house were able to locate the body remains of both David and Tal. They were murdered, the bodies were burnt with the home, and the phones were taken by the looters who burned the house. They also took the phones with them to the Gaza Strip. That's why it was signaling for there. And I'm saying something now that definitely sounds crazy to most of the people in the world, but in the perspectives of November 2023, we were almost lucky to have a funeral and know what happened, to get some closure to our family story. Families, we've been waiting for more than 2 years to have a funeral. Families been waiting for months to know what happened to their beloved ones. And we were lucky to wait only 1 month. And we got to have the funeral. We got to put those stones by the graves, to take the kids to see the graves. And if I'm trying to get back to the timeline, because that will lead me to the next part, we left Nir Oz to Eilat. And I took these 2 pictures in something like 12 hours in between. The picture of the buses I took when we left the kibbutz, because I was amazed, overwhelmed, shocked that 4 buses were enough to take all the survivors. And the second picture I took in the first morning in the hotel in Eilat with this incredible view that I couldn't enjoy for a second, but it was devastating to me, the difference between what I'm seeing to what I came from. As you can see, it's on sunrise because obviously we did not sleep. And we spent 3 months in Eilat, and during those 3 months in Eilat started the part that I really want to talk about as well for the next minutes. And I used this sentence from an Israeli song that I translated to English to describe how I feel with the incredible help that we receive from people from all over the world from the first day. And this help started the moment we arrived to Eilat. And we arrived to Eilat on October 8th, day after the events, late in the evening. And on this time, the only people who could be in Eilat, beside people like us arriving, were the residents of Eilat. And every hotel receiving people, which was, I think, 10, 12, 14, I don't know how many hotels, had a room full with everything you can imagine someone needs after losing everything. I arrived to Eilat with cell phone, t-shirt, and a pair of boxers. That's all I've had. And in this room, there were clothes and shoes and phone chargers and diapers and baby formulas and soaps and hygiene and toys and really everything you can imagine that people might need after losing everything. Just to take a shower, to start thinking about what they're going through, was waiting there. And it all was done by the people of Eilat, who were waiting in the entrance to the hotels with food and toys and balloons and things for the kids, just to make us feel welcome and have some breath for a few moments. And this continued when in the following days we received personal gifts, personal packs from friends who collected especially for us, every family. And this note that you see, I found in a bag that I almost threw away. And this note says, to Gaia, although I don't know you, I am very sad for you, and I hope you will like the clothes I'm giving you. And I had to look with my friends who gave me that bag. And then this friend, when I found him, had to try to figure out who gave him that bag, because it was second and third and fourth circles. But it took a few hours, but in the evening, these 2 girls were having a video chat, saying thank you, sharing experiences, and it was amazing. And the good things happening, the assistance, the help in Eilat did not stop for a second. If it's the following days when we received from shop owners washing machines and dryers so we can wash our clothes, and every day arrives a truck offloading boxes with laptops, with iPads, with toys, with clothes, with shoes, with spatial food, with candies, with anything you can imagine from all over the world. People coming in with, hello, I have a box with gift cards from New York. I have a box with iPads from Massachusetts, whatever. It came from all over the world, non-stop. People who just try to help with anything they can, if it's by donating, if it's by sharing our stories, if it's by joining the greatest mission of all times, which is bringing the hostages back home. And it kept going the entire time we were in Eilat, and it continued when we left Eilat and moved to the apartment buildings in which we live today. in Kiryat Gat. And the craziest story about it is that we moved there less than 3 months after the October 7th, and we found this contractor who had 150 apartments ready for us, and not ready for us, ready for long-term rental, and we connected him to the government, and they very quickly they found a way to have an agreement which will allow us to live in these apartments for as long as we need. And the craziest thing that happened was that within 2 weeks from the agreement signed to January 1st when we moved, January 1st, 24, when we moved to these apartments, those newly built apartments transformed from apartments to homes. What it means that after 2 weeks, 150 apartments were ready for us to get in, and when we opened the door, we saw a home ready to live. Beds ready, food in the refrigerator, pictures on the walls, furniture's built, toys and desks and everything the kids need, and flowers on the table, and schnitzels in the freezers, and plants in the balconies, and really anything you can imagine. The Wi-Fi password is written on the table. We were joking that we moved from an hotel to an Airbnb, but it was incredible to see, and it was all done by thousands of volunteers who came from all over the world or donated things from all over the world, so we can do that. And people, instead of going to work, came to do that, and soldiers came to build furnitures and clean and paint and make it ready for us to live in. Everything in 2 weeks, 150 apartments. That's insane. And it continued with many projects. I will quickly speak about two initiatives that are very related to this area we are at. The first one is an incredible project called Hug for Hope, in which families, Jewish families from the United States and Canada, inviting people like me to a short family vacation away from where it's harder to be at that time, as a gift. And we've been paired with an amazing family from Toronto, the Kaplans, who invited us to stay with them for 10 days with their family in their home and enjoy a quiet vacation. And when we arrived to Canada, after of course refusing to do that because we didn't want to be with strangers for 10 days, but we very quickly understood that it's happening. We got to the home, we had a quick dinner together, and the first question my kids asked were, where is the shelter? And we told them that there is no need for shelter in Toronto. And you can see the results in the quote by Danielle Kaplan, the woman who asked us, how she told in an interview that the first time my son slept through the night since October 7 was during this vacation in Toronto. Until then, every night he was waking up, coming to us, but on Toronto he slept well. Maybe it's a jet lag, but he was sleeping through the night, which is an amazing thing to give to these kids. And we have a family, we've been there twice, we'll be there again. They visited Israel. Their firstborn grandson named Oz for Niroz. And something like 10 or 15 families from Niroz traveled to Canada through this project. And I think 50, 60 families from the entire region traveled to Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Florida in this project, and it's amazing. And the last project I'm talking about very quickly is also, I want to talk about it here because it's a great thing that is almost entirely funded by the Jewish Federation of New York. And it's a project that takes people, in the past it was in youth, endangered youth. Now it's for people like me who let you deal with your trauma, with your fears, with your hard time through the ocean by surfing. And almost everyone from our community participated in this project. And the group I'm part of, the men in the 30s and 40s, according to the professionals in this project, are the people who are supposed to be in front, be the most able and be the most helpful, but we were the most unable and the most helpless during the day, and that's why they took us as a great project to give us this sense of security, and we did it for a year. Every Friday morning, no matter what the weather is, we are surfing, and we even traveled to Sri Lanka as a group, also thanks to the help of mostly the UJA from New York, who supported a lot of this project. And my wife, my kids also participated in this project. And all these projects, all this help, all this making us being able to do things leads us to the future, that people always want to know what about the future. And the future is a lot of things. And as you all know, in Israel, you only know what happened. The future is always a surprise. Even the next second is a surprise. But we're trying to plan, we're trying to build, we're trying to get back to life as much as we can, and mostly trying to be together as a community, because we learned very well that being with people who can understand, being with people who know, especially for the kids, not only for us, is the biggest thing that we can give our kids at this moment. Having them being with friends who understand what they've been through and don't ask questions if they just being in a bad mood is amazing, and it gives a lot of power and a lot of strength. And in order to let this future come in, we had to say goodbye to our home in the beginning of this year, and it was demolished in late January. And as we speak, the rebuilding of Kibbutz Nir Oz is being done, taken care of. It is also supported enormously with help of with people from all over the world who allow us to take what we get from the state of Israel and make it even better by building and planning. A few people already moved back, very few, mostly couples, younger or older, without children, without young children, and some newcomers, and people who are planning to come back start slowly to come back. In the next few months, a few more families, a few more houses supposed to move back. And the plan is that within the next 18 to 24 months, everyone who wants to move back will be able to move back, as it will be rebuilt in the next 2 years. But of course, not everyone is planning or able to come back, which is also understandable. And we decided as a family that the best solution for us will be not to move back to Nir Oz for many obvious reasons, although it's not the most expectable thing to hear, but we decided that the best thing for our kids will be a different second part of childhood. And talking to friends and sharing this experience, we learned that we are not the only ones. And we ended up together with 50 other families from our community, 50 households, that everyone wants the same, to be together as a community, but to choose another place to do that, to do it at. And we found another kibbutz that is willing to accept all of us as 50 families together. They have the place, and they welcomed us to join. And we're also supposed to start building our houses very soon in that kibbutz, which is called Beit Nir. If you know the geography of Israel, it's in between Jerusalem to Kiryat Gat, near Bet Shemesh, different location. And we're supposed to start building soon. And more than any other project, I think this project is the biggest example to how people from all over the world allowed us to move forward, because this project required enormous amount of money that we couldn't get anywhere else, to allow every family who wants to make the change to be able to do it and not to give up because they cannot afford. And we created a plan. We did it. We made it as detailed as possible, and we got out with it. And we've been able to recruit tens of millions of dollars for this project from good people from all over the world. Of course, mostly from the Jewish people of the United States. And as I said, we're supposed to start soon, and if the plan will work as we planned, this part of the community will also be able to move to the final destination within 18 to 24 months from today. And this couldn't be done without the help of, as I said, of so many good people. And I'm very, very thankful that I got to speak with you tonight. I hope it's okay that it took me a bit more than the 30 minutes we said. You will forgive me for that. You have no choice, I did it already. But I'm very, very thankful, I'm very grateful. It's a great place. It's a great ending to this amazing journey I did, thanks to so many people who were willing to let me do it. So Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I will be doing some kind of Q&A later during Oneg, right, Rabbi? So I'll be glad to do that with you, one-on-one or as on stage there. So thank you so much, and Shabbat Shalom and good evening. Thank you so much. I'll leave it here. I'll take it later.
So we'll have a question and answer session at the Oneg. But it's still Shabbat services. Before we continue, though, I want to offer a prayer for Barak and his family and for all of Israel. God of our ancestors, God of Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob, Leah and Rachel, we have listened tonight with heavy hearts. We have heard pain that is difficult to imagine, stories of terror and loss, courage and survival, We thank you for the strength and bravery of those who survived, and for the willingness of Barak to bear witness before us. We pray for the people of Israel, for those still living with trauma and grief, for families whose loved ones were murdered, for soldiers, first responders, doctors, counselors, and all who protect and heal. God, shelter your people beneath wings of peace and safety. Strengthen the weary, comfort the brokenhearted, bring healing to body, mind, and spirit. Help us not to turn away from suffering or become numb to pain. May the stories we hear deepen our compassion, our unity, our commitment to one another and the Jewish people. And even in this difficult time, help us hold on to hope. Hope that hatred will not have the final word. Hope that light can overcome darkness. Hope for a future when all people may live without fear. Oseh shalom b'ramav hu ya'aseh shalom, Elena v'el kol Yisrael. May the one who makes peace in the heavens bring peace to Israel and to the Jewish people everywhere. And we all say, Amen. And we are still in the period between Pesach and Shavuot, soon to end, right?
Soon.
Shavuot is next week. And so we continue to count the Omer, page 278.
הנני מוכן ומזומן לקיים מצוות עשה של ספירת העומר. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על ספירת העומר. היום 44 יום, שהם 6 שבועות ו2 ימים לעומר. Today is the 44th day, making 6 weeks and 2 days of the Omer.
We continue with Elenu on page 282, and we all rise. Please be seated. We take a moment now to think of loved ones and friends that have passed on, knowing that even though their physical presence is gone, their spiritual presence will always remain. I invite you to take a moment. I'm going to choose a reading for tonight on page 291. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. If you're here to recite Kaddish for a loved one, I invite you to rise when you hear their name so we can acknowledge you as a mourner. Then we recite Kaddish together as a community. For the period of Shloshim, we remember Carol Aronoff, sister-in-law of Alvin and Jane Aronoff, wife of Harvey Aronoff, mother of Deborah, Stephen, and Francine. Judy Nee, sister of Barbara Gass. Yard sites this week: Alice Ostray Cole, cousin of Miriam Ostray. Charles Berkowitz, grandfather of Eric Berkowitz. Anita Bruckenstein, sister of Selma Goldberg and aunt of Jerry Newman. Maureen Bonacore, sister-in-law of Guy Bonacore. Virginia Bonacore, mother of Guy Bonacore. Jack Engel, father-in-law of Marlene Engel. David Greenberg, husband of Cantor Sally Neff, father of Drew Greenberg, son of Steve and Lynn Greenberg. Sam Karp, grandfather of Warren Willen. Carol Korn, friend of Cliff Mallett. Rose Miller, mother of Tina Miller. Gary Rosenberg, brother of Joel Rosenberg. Ronnie Stein, mother of Shelley Goldstein. Joel Weinberg, husband of Madeline Weinberg. Saul Wellman, grandfather of Tina Miller. Bessie Winston, grandmother of Eva Steen. We remember Leo Cooper, Saul Grossman, Nathan Gurian, Louis Hefferman, Harry Leibowitz, Charles Mandel, Solomon Plotkin, Rose Steinglass, Rose Tepper, Anne O. Wachtel, Marilyn Yeshlin, and to that list we add all of those who perished on October 7th and those who perished consequently to October 7th. May the memories all be for a blessing. I ask the congregation to rise and join the mourners as we recite Kaddish together as a community, page 294. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yamechon, v'chayei kol bet Yisrael, v'agalah v'zman kariv v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'mei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh. Yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal. Shmei Kudisha Baruchu. Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Damiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleni v'al kol Yisrael. V'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mrumav. Huya aseh shalom. Aleni v'al kol Yisrael. V'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mrumav. Huya aseh shalom. Alenu v'al kol Yisrael. V'yimru amen. Please be seated. I'd like to invite Barry Schoenberg to come forward to share announcements with you.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Barak, thank you so much for sharing this very powerful and moving story and telling it with such courage and honesty. Frankly, I don't think any of us could possibly imagine what it was like to relive that episode in your life. We are deeply grateful for your willingness to speak about your experience, and we look forward during the Oneg to sharing some stories with you. Tomorrow morning, Taste of Torah. We'll meet in person and on Zoom at 9 a.m., followed by Shabbat morning services at 10:30 in person as well as on Zoom. Last call to register, come to the Israel Day Parade with Rabbi Stephen Goldstein, Beth Ann Louise, and fellow congregants on May 31st in New York City. Please contact Beth Ann to register for free. Transportation and a parade t-shirt are all included. This is a fun event to experience together as a family and community with Team RTR. The Adult Ed Committee is bringing us the Metropolitan Klezmer Band on Wednesday, June 24th at 7:30 p.m. Join us for a really fun evening of creative klezmer music, mixing several musical genres with Latin, classical, and jazz. Refreshments, we're Jews, of course, will be served. Friends and family are welcome. Bring the kids. 13 and under are free. Admission is $18 for members, $25 for non-members, and the registration link is in the e-blast, or call the front office for the link. And please put on your calendar, June 23rd is our annual RTR congregational meeting, at which time we approve the budget for next fiscal year and vote for the incoming committee, executive committee and trustees. So that's at 7 a.m., yeah, that'll work. 7 p.m. on June 23rd. And of course, what else is we're gonna have? Food, of course, little snacks. Thank you to Cantor Neff and to Lynn and Steve Greenberg for sponsoring tonight's Onig in memory of David Greenberg. If you'd like to sponsor an Onig in honor or in memory of someone, please contact the front office. Shabbat Shalom.
Barak, with all my heart, thank you so much for sharing your story. We would do our best to keep your story going so the world knows and remembers what happened on that day to you, your family, and to so many other people in Israel. I'd like to give a special thank you to those who sponsored this evening's program: Alan, Mimi, Rachel and Scott Fetterman, Stephen and Sharon Hittman, Kathy and Steve Iger, Ann Jacobs, Norman Klinger, Beth Ann Knapp, Judy Levy, Stephen Levy, Merrill Levy, Cantor Neff, and Elizabeth Rosenblum. Thank you to be able to enable us to have programs such as these. So when we're finished here, we have a concluding song. We're finished. Please go quickly into the Oneg Shabbat. We'll do Motzi and Kiddush, and then we'll bring the microphone back, and we'll have questions and answers. There's lots of tables. Have a seat. Get your food. Have a seat. The rest of the time, I specifically went shopping to get some Israeli desserts, made in Israel and imported here, so grab those and all the other delicious things that the Greenberg family and Cantor have supplied for us. And I ask you to rise as we conclude with Hatikva. It's on page 348 if you need the words. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May God's presence be with you always, bring you the most precious gift of all, the gift of peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Join us in the back.